Hi, welcome to Crafter of Many Kinds. I'm Emmy. And it's currently Sunday night, 2 days before my posting. And I've been filming for about, I would say, at least 7 hours today. And that's not including any of the prep time or any of the setup time that I did or any of the fixing time that I'd done this week to get the studio ready. But you see, what's most important is the fact that last night, when I was up until 2 a.m. filming the video that you were supposed to be watching right now, I made a fatal error. And when I went to go check the footage today so that I could start editing the video you were supposed to be watching, I discovered that pretty much the entirety of the video was completely corrupted and not useful at all.
This is really good carrot cake.
So, instead, you're sitting here watching me knit. A friend once told me that it was better to post crap than it was to not post at all. So, here we are. I thought about trying to do something slightly more entertaining. I could maybe show you some footage of a video that I'm currently working on, or I could maybe fiddle with the green screen for the first time, or make memes. But it turns out as that it got later and the sun went down and it continued raining for a third day, and I realized that I hadn't eaten anything in about 7 hours. That I just didn't have it in me. Just did not have it in me to be particularly creative about making something for you today. So I thought, why not show you the cool studio that I just built? And knit. Just knit for a bit. I haven't actually gotten to work on this project in quite a while. It's for a video that was supposed to be for Thanksgiving. I'm saying this on December 4th. So you can see how that went. It's supposed to be a cardigan. Can't you tell? I could tell you about the video you were supposed to be watching. You see, I had gotten a video game that I was pretty excited about playing, and I decided that it would make some pretty fun content. And so I decided to embark on something that I had never done before, which was filming playing video games. Now, I underestimated how difficult it is to do that, given that there are, more Twitch streamers than there are stars in the sky. There were some issues that I was able to foresee and that I did work around. However, I did not at the last minute check one of the things that I knew was an issue, and that is in fact why we are sitting here right now with you watching me knit instead of watching the video that you were supposed to be watching. Am I bitter? Yes. It happens at some point to every content creator that everything that they worked on just turns to dust at the last minute, and you have two options. And that is either to attempt to collect what you have and put it together and probably end up with something that you don't like. Or you make a video of yourself knitting. Quietly. While it rains. For the third day in a row. Could tell you a cute little story. A couple days ago, Paul and I were pulling out an old couch out of some storage that we'd had, and there seemed to be something weird tucked between the cushions. Now, given that we have a bad track record for finding random things in places we're not expecting, we did take a moment to pause and try to suss out the situation. As we were digging through the weird things that were coming out of the couch cushions, we noticed that it seemed to be some kind of shredded tree matter. We weren't entirely sure what it was. So as we carefully started picking through the couch cushions, I noticed that there were 2 perfectly good acorns shoved in between 2 of the couch cushions. Now, I was very confused because obviously the last place you're expecting to find a fully formed acorn is in your couch. But I was trying to think, how in the world did an acorn get here? And I realized, quite to my glee, that a squirrel had been getting into our storage area and had been storing the acorns off of one of our other trees in our storage unit and had been obviously slowly eating them for winter. Now, I felt kind of bad about moving the couch at that point, given out, how much effort that the squirrel had put in, but luckily as we were going through them, we didn't see too many uneaten ones and figured that the squirrel was probably done with this current larder. So we took that couch piece upstairs, and as we came back for the second section, we were moving it, and I realized right as we were moving it that we hadn't yet flipped it over to make sure that there weren't any spiders living on the bottom of it before we moved it. And as we flipped over the couch, just the raining sound of acorn hulls comes out of the bottom and whoosh, all over the floor. So, looks like the squirrel had been at it for a while and, he just left us to clean it up and he didn't pay any rent. So, awful. Still better than some of the things we found out here, that's for sure. A couple months ago, my mom was at a secondhand store in Boise, Idaho. And while she was there, she happened to see some magazines from 1923. And they were crocheting and knitting and embroidery and lace making, all kinds of just sort of needlecraft magazines. And she got almost an entire set of the year. I think there's 2 months missing. I got the idea that it might be fun to do some patterns that will literally be 100 years old as of next year. I'll put up a couple of examples of some of the projects that are in those magazines and, let me know which one you want me to make in the comments below and I'll add it to the roster for next year. You'll probably see it in one of these videos when I have another breakdown. The first girl that I ever liked in middle school, her mother was the one who taught me to knit, actually. My whole family are crocheters. Nobody knitted. And I wanted to learn how. And so by the time I was in high school, I was pretty whiz at it. And I used to sit in classes and knit because it was easier for me to concentrate on the lectures if my hands were moving, unsurprisingly. Now, my drama teacher saw me knitting in class fairly frequently and asked me if I would be willing to make a prop for their upcoming play of The Diary of Anne Frank. There's apparently a scene in The Diary of Anne Frank where Anne Frank presents a scarf to the boy that she's sheltered in place with, and he remarks on how ugly it is. And she says, well, of course I was knitting it in the dark. So this was the script portion that I was handed, and I was asked to make a scarf for the play, and I was so excited because it was going to be my first prop. People were going to see it on stage. I was super excited, and I spent the next couple of weeks crafting a scarf because scarves take a while. And because the script specifically said that it was an ugly scarf, I used some, browns and some grays, and I intentionally dropped stitches and added a few on here and there because I figured, as the script said, Anne was knitting this scarf in the dark. I finished this scarf and I was so happy, and I presented it to my drama teacher. She was like, yeah, great, thank you so much for doing this. You're a total lifesaver, being able to get a, scarf kind of a thing. And I remember that I got a bunch of my friends together and we went to go see the opening evening of the play. And as we were sitting there, I kept waiting and waiting for the scene where my scarf was going to appear. And I told everybody, hey, I made a prop for this. I'm really excited. So we get to the scene where she busts out the scarf. And as the boy pulls the scarf out of his gifts, he pulls a scarf out on stage that is not mine. Now, everybody who I was with turns to me, very excited, and points at the scarf that's on stage and is telling me about how good of a job I've done. And I am just brokenhearted because this scarf that I've spent weeks on is not the scarf that is on stage. And it occurred to me after the fact, because I was given no notes, that the scarf that I had made was so ugly they wouldn't put it on stage. There's no punchline. That's just it. It's just a sad story about knitting. Sorry. I know normally these stories have like a fun, happy twist ending, but not that one. That one just sucks. And I feel like it's very reflective of my mood right now. You can try really hard at something, and somehow it's not what ends up on screen. But my knitting will be. This time. Well, that's it. I would like to get some sleep at some point tonight. I've been up for hours. It's actually about 40 degrees outside because of the rain. And I'm freezing. There's no heating in here. None at all. Like and subscribe, although I'm pretty sure if you're still here, you probably have already subscribed. Because what random person would just be watching this? So, next week I'm interviewing a really cool artist named Sean George. In fact, that's what we've been filming for the last most of the day. He's a pretty cool guy. He's got some cool art. Hopefully you'll enjoy that. Hopefully that will actually get published. Jess and I are going to be making giant gingerbread houses for the holiday special this year. So look forward to that. Good night. Or good morning. You know. Whatever it is, wherever you are. Have a good one. This is Crafter of Many Kinds. I am glad to have you here. Okay? I am. I just, hopefully next week, I'll actually have something worth watching. Go away. You can go away now.